It will haunt you every night. Whatever it is, no one should have to encounter that kind of evil.
Something big is gonna happen.
The word we're looking for is apocalypse.
You want a piece of this?
Yeah.
That's right. We live in a world now where there's another Ghostbusters. We're
Yeah.
not talking about a part 2. We're talking about a whole new Ghostbusters
Redo.
remade for the new generation. Or is it for us? Because sometimes it makes you feel. This movie makes us feel
No, this
like.
is definitely not for us.
But they throw shit in there. Remember Ghostbusters?
It's the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Oh, I got something special for you. You like that? You got more where that came from.
I guess because you're a daddy and you're gonna be there with your kid. Or
Exactly. And I mean,
We just saw it, by the way. That's the whole point of this.
we're literally like in the parking lot.
With 3 grown men in a car.
And
We just saw Ghostbusters movie.
As you can see by our faces, we're all like heartbroken right now. But I mean, we kind of knew going in. But I thought I had so much negativity from Batman vs Superman that I went to see the movie, and I was like somewhat surprised it wasn't as bad as they made it out to be. This had a similar thing going to it, nothing but bad press and hate, and I was like, it's not gonna end up being that bad. It's gonna be pretty good. It was fucking bad, and I am shocked how bad it was actually. I don't know about you guys, but I was like totally disgusted by this movie.
I agree. I didn't. It wasn't good. I don't know if I'm as shocked as you. I kind of expected it to be exactly how it was. Which is not saying it's good. It's not saying it's a good thing.
The thing is that I expected there to be some form of saving grace, whether it be, their story is totally different, but it kind of works for what they're going for. It's exactly what so many other reviews have said. It's one constant SNL skit after another. It makes no cohesive storyline. It's just running gags of farts and typical nonsense, and it's like there's no heart to the movie. The part 1 and part 2, as much as people don't care too much for part 2, I don't know if it's because of the cast or whatever, but there's a heart to that movie. They are the heart to that movie. These people just feel like they're just tacked in there, and it's everybody gets their 5 seconds to shine with their ad-libbing jokes. Like if it was like one of these comedy groups.
You mean like Patrick Swayze, like he's sitting behind you making some pottery?
That's it. And then we were all dancing at a summer camp in the Catskills, and then we sat down, and he was behind me, and we made a vase.
Oh, you're combining the two.
I combined a couple of Swayze
Oh, you know what
movies.
was a good one? Roadhouse.
I loved Roadhouse.
Yeah.
Where they're all pretty much just winging it and inventing things as they go, and it does not work. It does not work.
Before you just want to throw in your 2 cents, because I know Javi's probably gonna go on a rant, but you mentioned really quick humor, and that's the big difference in this movie. Is the style of humor is different. It's different from 1984. It's different from the way Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis, the whole era.
Now, let's talk seriously. Now, for the entrapment, we're going to have to ask you for 4 big ones, $4,000 for that. But we are having a special this week on proton charging and storage of the beast, and that's only going to come to $1,000, fortunately.
$5,000? I had no idea it'd be so much. I won't pay it.
Well, that's all right. We can just put it right back in there. Thank you.
We certainly can, Dr. Venkman. No!
It's different. So this is like Paul Feig's humor. So he can't do rated R stuff in this one. This is his first non-rated R movie. So it slaps a lot of slapstick jokes. Some of them are like airplane jokes.
Okay.
Airplane style jokes.
Yeah.
Kevin. Hi, can you answer the phone?
God, it's in the fish tank.
No, the one on the desk that's ringing. That one.
Oh, that one.
I'm cool, dude. Yeah.
Like gags.
He's good at what he does. All his movies are actually really legitimately funny. This is him stuck in a vehicle, and a licensed vehicle where obviously first thing you see in the movie before the titles come out, Ghost Corps.
Yeah, like a Marvel logo, Ghost Corps Productions.
Like they built a mini studio just for their vision of God knows how many Ghostbuster films and shit they have planned going for. So it's kind of like there's a production unit and company only dedicated to Ghostbusters to show you how this is a huge vehicle. They put Paul Feig in it, and he can't pretty much be himself and direct. I don't know, maybe it is partially his fault, but everything is held back. You can't get too raunchy, you can't get too funny. Then why get Paul Feig? Like you, I don't know, I think it was you, Javi. I would have loved to have seen
yeah, he mentioned
Edgar Wright take hold of like a Ghostbusters reboot. I think that would have been freaking insane.
That would have been good.
That would have been legitimately funny.
He probably would have left like the whole Ant-Man thing. He's his own thing, and on a property like Ghostbusters, you know, like we mentioned when you were in Disposed Of, this movie felt like the classic too many cooks in the kitchen kind of thing.
Yeah.
Everyone had a bunch of ideas, and we're saying a lot of negative stuff. There are some cool things in the movie.
Yes,
It's not just the movie.
The movie itself, just in a nutshell, is somewhat of a rehash of the original Ghostbusters, and a lot of tongue-in-cheek, wink-wink, too much wink-wink to the original movies, I think.
A lot of it.
To the point where it's like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to redo it? Or are you trying to make fun of it? Are you doing your own thing? They need to choose whether they want to be their own thing or a exact wink-wink to the original. But it's like they can never make up their mind. The whole movie keeps going back and forth. Right when they start kind of doing something original, they bring in cameos.
They have a lot cameos like every 20 minutes.
Which, by the way, like I told you guys, good for Rick Moranis not fucking being in this. Man, the only guy that I think didn't make a cameo, him besides
Harold Ramis. Which kind of did. They did
oh gosh.
In spirit.
Yeah,
they even have a shout out to him in the credits.
Object.
Yeah, and at the end they dedicate it to him, and I'm like, oh my God.
I guess later on we'll get to more spoilerish stuff, but Javi, please, I'm dying to know what you're saying, what you're thinking right now.
What do you think?
Okay. If you plan to succumb to yourself to ever watching this film, don't watch the first Ghostbusters right before it, okay? Not too long ago, I know that some of the AMC theaters were screening the old one, so a friend of mine and I went to see it, and I can still remember how sharply, like, the theater was still pretty packed given a movie that came out like decades ago, you know? So there's people out there that still want to watch it again. And when I saw it, not only was it still refreshed because I saw it in a 35mm format, but people were still laughing at the jokes and they still understood it, even though it was that kind of like old, possibly dated kind of like comedy back in the day. And when we saw the new one this time, hardly anybody laughed. As a matter of fact, it wasn't so much that we didn't laugh, it was a point of the movie where, and I saw you do this, we cringed at some of the jokes they were actually trying to make. Like, they faltered, like they aimed high and they missed completely. Like, it was time when I was like, I had to cover my face because I was like, I'm not watching this. They did not put in that much money for a movie to be that mediocre.
There was literally, for me, two semi-laugh out loud moments.
Chuckles. Hey, it was chuckle thing.
One was in the very beginning with the dean of the university where they're doing all their work.
Yeah, the getting fired scene from the first movie.
The getting fired scene with all the middle finger stuff. And two, Andy Garcia's
yes, the mayor.
Don't you ever compare me to the mayor from Jaws. That shit made me laugh out loud. That was good.
I think the only other part I believe that deserved any credit too, and which is kind of ironic because this part that made me laugh the most was from a former Ghostbuster. Dan Aykroyd's cameo was hilarious.
The cab driving scene?
But it was so much needed because I wasn't laughing at all until that point, and then after that I didn't laugh after that.
I feel like the Bill Murray cameo was so blah and fucking...
He had the biggest cameo. He actually had a role in the movie.
Yeah, it really became...
He's supposed to be like
it fleshed out.
The asshole guy from the first movie
who shuts down the containment
power. They have a similar scene, but it's so stupid. It's like, really, they would even do that?
It felt so shoehorned in there, like... He's Bill Murray. We have to put him front and center. And he looked like he did not put any effort. Like he was kind of forced to do it and he wanted to fucking leave. And I was like, that was horrendous. That was just awful waste of a cameo. He should have had the biggest cameo, I thought.
He kind of did.
Well, screen time he did.
Oh, yeah. He should have
had the most.
I don't know. I think Garcia was good at the mayor, but it would have been funny to see Bill Murray the mayor. Mm-hmm. And he's the one that has to give the Ghostbusters the shot.
That would have been funny. But it's like, they could have done anything. It would have been better than his cameo role. It was horrible. It was so bad.
Like, that, since we're talking about the mayor, that scene with the mayor in the first movie is so iconic. Because that's the scene where, like, all the characters are fighting and they're telling the story. The story really gets told.
It was actually a serious scene.
Yeah, the story is told in that scene and then the little prison scene before that, and they're just telling you everything that's going to happen. And then the mayor has to make the decision whether to trust the Ghostbusters or trust, like, the the sniveling government agent, and then that's when the third act kicked in. And this movie had a mayor scene, but it was like, that's it. That's the whole mayor scene. It felt like like we've said many times, the movie feels like an expensive SNL skit.
This movie is more comparable to the Ghostbusters cartoon.
It's very
than it is the
cartoony.
movie. Even though Ghostbusters 2 was more like the cartoon, this is like the cartoon. Everything from the ghost designs to the color scheme to the hokey dialogue and
Slimer having a role in the movie. And
Slimer has a role and a girlfriend. I mean, why the fuck does Slimer have to have a girlfriend?
This idea sounds funny. It might sound cool if you haven't seen the movie, but Slimer, minor spoilers here, Slimer's cruising around the Ghostbusters. He stole the Ghostbusters Ecto-1. He's cruising around. He steals it, and then later on they see him driving by with ghosts on the car, partying, listening to music, and then he has a Slimer prostitute with him.
It literally it looks just like Slimer, except she has a wig and lipstick on.
She looked like the girl gremlin from
yes.
Gremlins 2.
Exactly. This movie, it's a bunch of ideas just thrown up on screen. Don't expect an actual story that makes sense. This shit, I mean, as much as people like to shit on the villain of part 2, this is the worst Ghostbuster villain to date. I mean, it was just...
Yeah, I guess the villain well,
Rohan.
spoiler alert, the villain has different forms. So there's a point when he's in human form.
And each one is annoying as the next.
I was watching the Ghostbusters marathon on AMC. I'm sure everyone, it's everywhere. The best part, one of the best parts of part 2 is the guy from Ally McBeal.
Yeah,
boss.
the sniveling. Yeah,
he's so funny. And then there's a scene where he kind of gets possessed. They kind of do that in this movie too. Okay, we talked about our overview really quick. Let's talk about the Ghostbusters, the 4 main Ghostbusters. What do we think of the actresses that play them?
Okay, I have one. I mean, I know they're equally talented. I actually seen some of their skits in SNL, and they're very funny. It was obvious too that like any other movie, especially when there's an ensemble cast, everyone kind of like has their time to shine. You know, they always have like a quirky little scene there that, you know, that puts them out there, you know, that kind of like seals the scene. Mm-hmm. It feels like everyone's trying to like, I don't know if they're doing it, not the actors themselves doing it purposely.
No, doing it.
I feel like, well, I feel like Paul Feig is trying to like get them to showcase each other, but all they did was kind of like, I don't know, they weren't complimenting each performance. They were more like they were combating each other.
Each of them were showing off, I felt sometimes
exactly.
in the scenes. And
I think it failed too because it just came up short each time.
And I like Kristen Wiig, but she was my least favorite of the Ghostbusters in this movie. Kristen Wiig.
She's too fumbly stumbly the whole time, and it's like it's hard to believe her as a...
Melissa McCarthy was subdued, and she didn't bother me. And believe it or not, I forgot her name. Leslie Jones. She's also from SNL, which everybody was trashing. Everybody was like, "Oh, she was fine." Yeah, there was a couple lines, cringeworthy lines, but it's lines you're like, okay, that's the cliche line to say after you do something.
I mean, it's always been a movie that's an ensemble cast, but I feel like in this movie, there's no cohesion between them. They all kind of come together, except for 2 who have a back history.
Yeah.
Right?
The Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd character.
One of the things about the movie that's a little confusing, I mean, I guess in the original they kind of do that a little bit, but not as much, as you don't know how much time passes throughout the movie, because literally from one cut to the next, this girl is inventing armories worth of weaponry, high-tech weaponry, where she's literally like, they were just in a scene shooting ghosts,
when
and then it cuts to them, and she's like, "Oh look, I have a fucking ecto tank, and I make grenades," and it's like,
and it's done very like.
When did you make this?
Like Naked Gun. All of a sudden, Naked Gun. They're like, "Hey, by the way, when they go visit the guy in the lab," and we skipped over, I forgot her name, Kinnaman.
Oh yeah.
Kate McKinnon. Yeah. Which I liked her in the movie. She's weird. She's like over the top weird.
Yeah, she's very eccentric and stuff. She is. Like we were saying, if it was better written, she should have been the daughter of Egon and Janine.
Just the idea that Egon had sex and had a baby is like, who's the mother? Yeah. Maybe it was Sigourney Weaver. They had like
that's another cameo. Whatever.
Oh yeah, everyone has a cameo except, and also, by the way, the whole time I was like, Ernie Hudson's got to be in this. His cameo was good.
Yeah, his is one of the last.
But you
cameos
saw
of the movie.
You saw it coming though.
Yeah. But you know what? Overall, I don't give a shit that they were all women. That never bothered me.
Yes, not one comment yet we ever said anything about the fact that they're women.
never bothered me, and I never had an issue when they did it. I kind of always was a little cringeworthy when I knew Paul Feig was gonna direct it, because I was like, that's not really the type of person. And it doesn't become a Paul Feig film, really. It never really feels like it. It feels like
Another franchise studio film.
A Sony big budget movie. And it almost looks like Spider-Man, what is it, fucking
The Amazing
3?
Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, with all the electricity effects. It looks very much the same.
Yeah. The effects are technically well done. They're very cartoony, though. Okay, first of all, the big finale. Finally, there's the huge big finale. That's where they throw everything into the movie. You have Ghostbusters bombs, Ghostbusters lightsaber boxing gloves.
Fucking parade.
They're grabbing them. They're grabbing the Ghostbusters. They're throwing them. They actually fight back in this movie. They have weapons, ghost weapons that work.
Yeah, and it doesn't make sense because they're
throw
throwing
an
weapons
axe.
and they hit each other and they actually kill each other off. It's like,
there's one scene where a ghost throws an axe or something,
and it hits another ghost,
and it kills another ghost.
I'm like, what the hell just happened there?
There's ghost balloons.
Yeah, all of a sudden there's a parade that comes out of nowhere. It looks like the fucking Batman.
Dead balloons.
Batman Tim Burton parade. I expected the Joker underneath. I was like, what the hell is
I like
this?
the way they looked when the balloons popped.
Yeah, that was cool.
The movie looks pretty.
No, yeah, it looks good.
And then I was, Javi, you gotta say, the finale when they're fighting the ghosts, all of a sudden it's like Paul Feig is too busy doing something else, and the visual effects team just came in and Michael Bay'd that whole ending.
Yeah.
I mean, they're fighting ghosts in slow motion with Star Wars music. They're flipping around.
Yeah, all of a sudden they're in the Matrix. They're doing moves.
You got
and shit.
two-gun John Woo, two-gun laser stuff.
Forgot about my new toy.
And I have to say it, but spoilers. There's a part at the end
Spoiler
where
time.
one of them gets sucked into the netherworld or whatever, and another one has to like do the typical, I'm gonna belt myself in and jump in after. What happened to the effects there? That was some of the shittiest compositing scenes I have seen in a big budget.
At the end, you're like, ooh. Even like the last minute stuff they did.
You can't do that anymore. People are very savvy. I had a crew behind me of like regular people watching the movie, and the guy goes, those effects look like shit. I was like, wow. I didn't say it, but I was like,
yeah. But it was intercut, like the close-ups of Kristen Wiig holding. You could tell she's on wires.
No, she's in a harness, but it looks so bad. She's like.
But then they cut to a really cool one of those shots that they do now, where it's like CG characters and they zoom in. Remember?
Yes, yeah.
They zoom in on Melissa McCarthy flying out of the big bad guy's hand.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that looks good. And then it was very Man of Steel-ish. And then it's like, oh, probably different visual effects team working on it. Okay.
Man. I know we're all over the place, but let's just bring it back down now.
Chris
Overall,
Hemsworth.
What's good?
Okay, let's talk about good.
We know what the bad is.
Good things. Chris Hemsworth didn't bother me at all. He was a highlight.
He was the funniest character
Highlight,
I guess, throughout the movie. Yeah.
And spoiler, we're in the spoiler territory. You know, we kind of figure it out. You can tell in the trailer they show him get possessed.
Yeah.
And he becomes the bad guy's body temporarily.
Yeah.
And that's the joke. And then there was almost a musical number technically in the movie that was like, oh my god, no.
Yes. And then it's in the credits.
They put it in the credits.
I have a feeling it was intentionally going to be in the movie at that point of the film.
And the studio said no.
And the studio was like, that's a bit
we
too
can't
fucking
start
much.
dancing in the big finale with Apocalypse.
I wonder if people were just walking out in test screenings when that happened. Like, what the fuck is this?
I'm like, this is exactly like the scene in Jim Carrey's The Mask when he sings the Cuban beat and he makes all the cops dance.
They call me Cuban Pete. I'm the king of the rumba beat. When I play the maracas, I go chick chicky boom, chick chicky boom.
That's basically what happened.
Yeah, they all did the Saturday Night Live pose, even the military guys, and I was like, we were looking at each other, we're like, please God, no. And thank God it didn't.
I didn't want to see Chalky White.
Chalky White. Was he supposed to be gay?
I don't know.
He comes in and he starts being all flamboyant. I'm like, where are they going with this? And then it just nothing happens. I'm like, what's the point of that?
Yeah. He's one of the FBI characters, the Homeland Security, who's okay. Another big difference in this movie is that this movie puts a lot of emphasis on the city knowing there's ghosts and hiding it. That's a big difference from the movie.
Yeah.
In the original movie, it's like, what's going on? The Ghostbusters, yay. This movie, it's like, oh no, we know there's weird things going on. We just don't want mass panic. We don't mass panic. And they have, the Ghostbusters are kind of being portrayed as frauds. First of all, what's up? There's no big fucking awesome middle movie montage and the Ghostbusters are kicking ass.
Nah, there's no montages.
There's a couple news clips. I was waiting for the montage. There's no montage. Except there's a montage of the Ghostbusters being called frauds.
and it's not even a montage. It was just
No.
a quick little
Yeah,
snippet,
yeah,
and that was
yeah,
it.
yeah.
It's if you're a fan of the originals, you're not gonna like it.
You're
There's
gonna
nothing
watch
like
it. You're gonna watch it.
We watched it because we felt like we had to watch it, and we wanted to do a review on it, but we had a feeling we were gonna be disgusted by it. And it, like he said, it doesn't help. I was watching the original too yesterday and the day before. It's not if you're an old school Ghostbuster fan, don't watch it if you're gonna be pissed, because you're not gonna like it. If you're not and you don't really care about the originals, go watch it, because it's, you know, it's eye candy. It's like a summer movie. It's fun. Actually, it's the type of movie that if you're not a Ghostbuster fan and it comes on during Halloween time and it has like those neon colors and Halloweeny vibe to it, it's kind of cool to watch. But as a Ghostbusters film,
Yeah, if you're
No.
a Ghostbusters fan,
no.
you'll appreciate. I mean, I think you'll appreciate the little winks and nods to the original movie, but it's very bittersweet. It's almost like
Oh yeah.
it reminds you that there's a better movie out there. It's like, damn.
Well, there's a better.
Or they could have done it better.
There's a better part 3. It's the video game that came out a couple
Yeah.
years ago with the original full cast before Ivan Reitman even passed away.
And Ivan Reitman,
and that had a plot and it was awesome.
Ivan Reitman produced this. I'm hoping it's more like they needed to get the rights from him, so he's like, yeah, I'll do it, because it didn't feel like he was involved in it. And Dan Aykroyd was the producer too.
Yes,
Well, they wrote the original movie Harold Ramis, so I feel like they own
I'm
the
sorry,
rights.
by the
I
way,
think they need
I
the
said
permission.
Ivan Reitman. I meant Harold Ramis was on the video game.
Yeah, they were all there.
They were all in it. Yeah,
and it was a sequel. It had Zool in it and everything, right?
Yeah.
Gozer and all that stuff.
No, it was all there. It was
yeah.
great. It was great.
That's that.
This is nothing more than a typical Hollywood reboot to make more money.
Yeah, and the finale, even though in the Ghostbusters there was kind of a big scene when the ghosts come alive, but it was all in that building. This movie does what basically it had a superhero ending. They had the big thing shooting in the sky,
Yeah.
a portal, the Avengers ending, the Man of Steel ending.
Yes.
Where Tape of Marshmallow. I mean, not Tape of Marshmallow. Sorry.
The giant ghost roll.
The ghost sign is the big thing at the end. He's straight up destroying buildings and throwing cars and killing people.
Yeah,
Man
the
of
whole
Steel
cop
style.
must have been crazy. Yeah, absolutely. Even though, let me tell you, I wonder if they did some practical effects. Some of those buildings look like legitimate models explode. Look
Maybe.
good. Yeah, that or the effects were really good in that scene.
They're
but
getting good at it. And then, of course, don't you love how in the end, when they defeat the bad guy,
Everything
the whole
goes back to
building
normal?
everything gets built back.
Yeah. Anyways, obviously I hated it.
I didn't hate it. I didn't like it. But I can't say I hate it.
Meh.
I think this movie's worth despising for 2 reasons. One, it never even in the talks of like talking about, you know, either sequels or remakes, a lot of the movies now give too much credit or they're too derivative to the old works, okay? But some can be, I've said this to you guys before, some work better than others. You know, Jurassic Park kind of worked when they did kick the nostalgia in, so did Star Wars. But then this one was just, yeah, let's try to make a new, we're gonna try to be a brand new movie, but let's not forget this movie existed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, this is, we're going somewhere new with this, but there's a much better movie out there. It's always trying to like suck up to the older crowd.
Star Wars, I think, did the best of these recent sequel remakes. But another reason why Star Wars, Force Awakens we're talking about, because it looked like the original Star Wars
because they
movies.
were faithful to the original. It's
Yeah.
not like they pretend it didn't happen.
And that's the whole time I was watching this movie. We've all watched the original Ghostbusters recently.
Yeah.
And of course, it was 1984, the film stock. The movie just looks dirty and gritty.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like a comedy.
Old school New York.
New
too.
York
It's
looked like that too, but the film stock, everything's dirty and gritty. And this movie's
Sony looking. Every Sony movie looks like
it
that.
looks like a TV show. It's like everything is crisp and very well lit. Not till the very end is it moody. With you know, it's all the neon lights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It gets kind of moody and it tries to be scary. But it feels like a cartoon.
And not only that, the original actually had scary moments in it. Like, where that's creepy as fuck.
And a blowjob ghost.
And a blowjob ghost. This is nothing ever scary.
No.
It's always just tongue in cheek.
I mean, like, are
Gags
you afraid of the dark scary in the beginning?
Yeah.
Kind of like, you know, it'll scare little tiny kids, but...
I'm afraid of no ghosts.
And how many times they play the Ghostbusters theme? A lot.
Different variations of all the shit versions they made.
Different versions of the song.
Goes back to what I said about them trying to remind you there's a better movie out there. That's why I don't think anyone will like this. All the new any new viewer that's not too acquainted with the old Ghostbusters won't get it.
No,
because it takes up pretty much half the film, and then any of the ones that like it are just gonna say, you know, that's shameless. It's a shameless cameo.
Yeah.
Shameless cameo.
Yeah.
Don't
Okay.
watch it.
Yeah, if you're a fan of the original, you're gonna hate it. It's not gonna happen. Just don't
Yeah.
watch it.
And if you've never seen it, whatever, and you're seeing like,
And you want to take your
Ghostbusters-
kids to see it and let them be a fan of it, okay, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that because
yeah,
it's
but please show them
cartoony shit.
the one that Harold Ramis wrote, please.
Yeah, if you don't see it in the theaters, just watch it in 2 months when it's on TV, when it's on video on demand or online, or you know.
And get ready because I'm assuming there's gonna be an onslaught of Ghostbuster movies coming our way. When they made a whole studio just for this, so.
In fact, really quick, if somebody wants to fill time, I'm gonna find out how much is made so far. 'Cause
Okay.
it's Sunday.
Oh, I just read an article about that too. Apparently, the Twitter's going crazy, saying that that most of the theaters screening Ghostbusters right now are empty.
Well, we were
In an
in a
empty
theater,
too.
yeah, we had maybe
nice.
10
Look,
people in there.
This Box Office Mojo, they do the estimates early. They're estimates, they're not official. Secret Life of Pets is the number one. Ghostbusters only made
Wow.
$46 million.
46
Wow.
million.
That's an estimate. It might go up, but not by much.
And this
And
isn't.
for a summer movie, that's
No, that's
terrible.
for the weekend.
No, I'm saying, and Secret Life of Pets didn't come out even this week.
No, it's been out
Came
already.
out
Yeah,
last
exactly.
weekend.
Yikes.
By the way, if you're actually gonna see a movie this weekend, watch Secret Life of Pets. That movie was actually pretty good.
And really quick, Tarzan, I heard is good. You saw Tarzan?
Yeah, Tarzan's not bad. Not
Legend
bad at
of
all.
Tarzan.
It's actually a fun movie, yeah.
Yeah.
And
And Ghostbusters cost 144 million, which I think
It will make
100 of that million was the third act.
Oh, yeah. Well,
yeah. That was super effects overload, man.
Don't call me the fucking mayor from
Oh,
Jaws.
that, yeah. But okay, you said there was no Paul Feig stuff in it.
No,
There was.
There was. But
Every time, every scene, when they started to get interesting, like okay, now they're talking about plots, like the scene with the lines, and the scene when all of a sudden you see that someone's putting these little devices everywhere. Like, okay, this is different. Let's see what they're gonna go with that. Every time it gets interesting, it becomes like
now we ended up with jokes.
3 minutes of like banter,
Yeah.
Bridesmaids style.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is fine in Bridesmaids. It's
and,
like
and you can tell that is not scripted. It's just okay. Now you guys just do your thing.
imagine the Hangover guys as Ghostbusters. That's what it would be. That's what this is.
Yeah, exactly.
It's that. It's the crew, the Paul Feig crew, which I'm not a big fan of Paul Feig.
Nah, I mean,
I didn't like the Heat. I didn't like what's the other one he did? Spy.
I didn't see Spy. I thought he was funny, and I thought Bridesmaids was actually hilarious. when
Yeah,
I first saw it.
Bridesmaids was
So, I
funny.
mean,
But
okay, so to cut it short now,
underwhelming. You know, you get to see some Ghostbuster stuff you've never seen before. That's necessarily good or bad. You know, it's always good to see those proton packs turn on.
No,
That
absolutely.
hero shot was cool when they finally turn them on.
and the sound effects,
And they're all like perfectly posed for
Yeah.
camera, so they don't block each other, and the camera just goes along the nozzles.
Man, to see
and
the
now you
effects-
see little drips coming out of like
Sparks.
lava.
Man, to
Yeah.
see these effects with the old school cast,
Oh, I forgot
all this stuff.
The new chuckle, the other awesome chuckle, Ozzy Osbourne's 2 second.
Oh yeah,
Jared, I'm having a flashback.
it has its little moments here and there, but few and
For a
far
2-hour
between.
movie, it's too.
Oh yeah. So none of us really cared for it. What do we give it then?
What's our scale? Like to 10 to 5? I don't know.
A big middle finger.
2 big.